Welcome to the Joe Cortez Healthcare Talk Show. Today, we have a special guest by the name of Chuck Gomez. Chuck Gomez is the owner of the Kika, K-I-K-A, Stretch Studios. I mean, this is something that's so much needed. We're talking about stretching. And the first thing I do when I get up in the morning, before I get out of bed, I'm already stretching, particularly when you get older. But one of the things I want to say is that we're glad we have a different type of a topic today because this is so much needed on a daily basis. And the older we get, the more stretching we need. Welcome to our show, Chuck Gomez. How you doing?
Good, thank you, Joe. Nice to meet you.
Good. So we're here today to talk about your studios. You have one in Henderson, Nevada, and one in Summerlin here in Las Vegas. Can you tell us a little bit about how do you first get started with this stretch studio?
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit of history here. I've been playing tennis my entire life, and stretching has always been important for that sport before and after to be flexible so I could be faster and get to the ball safely without, having muscles tighten up, and really to mitigate risk of injury. And so stretching, I always knew was an important part of my tennis activity. But as I got older and had a family, had a job that I had to commute to, like literally 90 minutes each way, I had a little time for the gym. I had a little time for tennis. And I had a 3 and a 1-year-old at home that required a lot of my attention when I was home, if I'm not on the train or the bus or my office. And my family and I had moved into a small town called Montclair, New Jersey. Sure. And right up the street in the village that we lived in was the studio called Kika Stretch Studios. And I would walk by that and they would have a sign to come in to try us out for like a complimentary session. And I probably passed that about 5 times and I thought, I have to do this. I have these aches and pains. I'm not as active. I've gained weight. Just busy with my career and family. I found myself in a different lifestyle. And that's how I found Kika Stretch Studios. This was in 2011.
2011.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did you start your Kika Stretch Studios here in Las Vegas?
So we moved here to Vegas in July of 2019. And I started talking to Kika. Kika Wise is the owner of the franchise. She founded it. I started talking to her a few minutes prior to us moving and said, hey, look, I know you're franchising now. Obviously I'm a client. I know a lot about the stretching side of it. But we're thinking maybe we would open up a side business when we get to Vegas and franchise. She didn't have any studios out here at the time. So we did that. In July of 2019, we moved here and we opened up Summerlin in December of 2019.
Well, that's great. Well, we want to wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Welcome to Las Vegas.
Thank you.
Mean, this is the place to be.
Yeah.
Nevada right now, it's growing and growing. The homes are still reasonable, and business is going through the roof. We know that we're having a little problem now with the pandemic, with the coronavirus, but we got to get on with our lives.
Yes.
We can't let our body fall apart.
That's correct.
I can tell you from experience, I've been suffering from COVID myself last year. I spent 5 months in the hospital. So, I was bedridden, and of course, getting out of there, I had to get myself working again, stretching, exercising, and all of that has been helping me a lot. And I'm glad that I was able to meet you so we can talk more about why it's so important to do the stretching.
Yeah, well, I think the funny conundrum is that everybody knows, no matter what age and what condition you are, that we should keep our muscles limber. We should drink a lot of water and we should keep them limber and flexible. And we all know that we can do stretches at home safely. Some basic stretches like bending down to your fingers. You have to your toes as far as you can go. You have to do it in the right technique, so you don't get hurt. But everybody knows you have to stretch, right? Yeah. So, and we know that it's good for us, but it's also difficult. Even for myself, for someone who's been stretching for a long time, when playing tennis, I just, I would go into my stances or my stretch poses and I just couldn't, I didn't have the discipline to stay longer enough or do it as often as I needed. And that was the problem with me, with life running so fast. It's so easy to stretch at home, but like everyone else, we're not disciplined enough to do that.
Yeah, I remember when I was a fighter,
Yeah.
in boxing, one of the things amateurs and professionals, a lot of stretching was so important. They wanted to stretch up, stretch, sideways,
Yeah.
as far as you can go, going down. But like you said, as we get older, you start losing a little bit of balance. So you got to kind of be careful, before you start with this kind of exercise. I think it's best to start at the studio first and get them to break you in.
Yeah.
Once you get broken in, then the days that you don't go to the studio,
Yeah.
that's where you can practice at home.
Right, and that's an interesting point, Joe, because if you find yourself with those aches and pains when you get out of bed, the lower back, the neck and shoulder, it's not just the aging and lack of activity as you grow through your career and your life and so forth, that we find ourselves not as flexible and more tension in our body. It's because it's also the daily stress and the tension that we add to our bodies. And COVID and all the stress around it, whether you had it or not, the economy and everything around our world, our lives were affected, and we all add stress. Then because of COVID, we moved to more home office work. And so we found a lot of us sitting in front of the desk a lot longer than you would when you're working, because you're less apt to take breaks, or you're more apt to work additional hours because you're going to find an hour in between laundry and dinner or what have you, and you're back there sitting. So we've had a lot of stress and tension. And so when you're stretching on your own, it's good that you do. You should probably get some advice on how to do it carefully. And we do that. We provide advice on how you can stretch safely at home. But what we do is we stretch your entire body from neck and shoulders down the legs and feet through what we call the Kika Method. So Kika Wise was a professional dancer back in New York City, and she had this Kika Method that she created to stretch herself before performances and rehearsals. And she started stretching friends and friends of friends at the gyms and CrossFits. It became a little business, and she decided to open up her first studio in Montclair, and the rest is history. The very, very first stretch studio.
Well, I think that's so important to have the stretching exercise on a regular basis. And I'm glad that she started that back in Claremont, New Jersey, which
Montclair.
is Montclair.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm so glad that you got to go here in Vegas, because it's something that's much needed, especially now that this is the sports capital of the world.
Yes.
I mean, we got basketball, football,
Yeah.
baseball, boxing,
Yeah.
hockey, you name it. We got all kinds of sports.
Yeah.
And these individuals out there, these athletes, they should listen in, hope that they're
Yeah.
listening in, and stop by your studio just to get an idea of what's going on, because this is so important for our bodies.
Yeah, I mean, we have, the thing about stretching is everybody needs it no matter what condition you're in, whether it's to mitigate risk of injury, whether it's become more flexible, or, but it's always geared toward, I want to become more flexible. Well, why? Because I want to play more golf like I used to, or I want to play with my grandchildren without getting hurt or tired and want them to be safe, or maybe because, I take long walks with my spouse and I'm just really sore now, and it's because I haven't been active. Lots of good reasons. But we see in our studios, we see professional athletes come in so we can stretch them fully. We see student athletes and collegiate athletes, because they know they're in great shape, but they don't want to get hurt. And they want to leverage more mobility and range of motion in the sport that they play. And that's what we do, because we get people deeper and longer than what you can do at home. And our method consists of over 30 stretches. And all our muscles are connected, right, to tendons and to the bones and everything. And what's amazing about stretching, what I learned, is that there's lots of great science-backed proven proof of how good about the benefits of stretching. And when we do, we get you deeper and longer, so you even get more benefits. It's that when you stretch muscles, fibers on a regular basis, it's like stretching a rubber band, right? You have flexibility and so forth. But if you keep stretching that rubber band over and over, it becomes a little bit more flexibility. That improves mobility and range of motion for a lot of people when they're coming in to stretch. But on top of that, we also have the arteries in and out surrounding muscles. And when we stretch those muscles, on a regular basis, you're enlarging those arteries. And so when that happens, circulation improves. And that's great for a lot of different people. So we get people coming in to see us for MS, for arthritis, for Parkinson's, for fibromyalgia, for a lot of conditions that they're just feeling less pain or no pain and getting that relief from stretching those muscles. But that's not it. There's also, you're creating space for nerves. So people with sciatica issues or nerve issues, we're creating that space. So they come in for some relief. Now, every body is different. So not everyone's going to have the same results. But if they're disciplined to come in on a regular basis, we have changed lives. And that is such a beautiful thing that we do, is we change people's lives if they're committed to it and want us to help them. So it's great.
Now, of course, now there are people who are injured, whether they have this form of fall or auto accident, any kind of an accident, their body's injured, their arms, their legs, their hips, their back, anything is injured. I mean, they need the doctor will tell them, well, here's some medication, but medication is not going to do it all.
Yeah.
The stretching and all of that. So you would recommend somebody who's injured to come over and get your opinion of how you can alleviate their pain so they don't be suffering as much.
So first of all, we get this question a lot about certain advice. We don't provide any kind of medical advice for obvious reasons. We're not medical professionals. All we do is stretch you through the Kika Method, and that's the same method we use for everybody. And it's full body. And the method has been around for over 10 years, and it has had professional input on modifying some stretches to make them more effective or safer or what have you, many years ago. So it's a proven method for lots of different people who come in on a weekly or twice a week basis. But with that said, we get a lot of people who have had injuries or surgeries. Mm-hmm. We had people that come in with hip replacements or neck replacements or fusions in the spine. And we have ways to make sure that we're giving those people safe stretches. Right. We also want to make sure if it's a recent surgery or injury that we have, that they have the doctor's permission to come in. But I have a guy, like for example, a client of ours in Summerlin who had a hip replacement. And he told me, this was about a year ago, he had been coming for about a year. And he went to his ortho for a check. And he said, he had him do some stretching or some bending exercises. And he told this client, he says, how in the heck are you this flexible? With that hip replacement, you shouldn't be this flexible. So because you have injuries and surgeries, you're going to create some tightness in the body and maybe overcompensation in other parts of the body. And that's where we also can provide a lot of relief. And we have physical therapists and chiros that are sending us their patients as our clients to help them. Because what the chiros always tell me is they always prescribe, a lot of times they prescribe stretching to go with their adjustment treatments because they bode well, but they know the clients or the patients don't stretch as they should. So having them send them to us will help better the results of their prescriptions.
Yeah, I think an idea would be, my idea, is maybe having some, eventually being that you're growing here in Nevada, have home visits.
We do.
You do have home visits. Okay.
We do.
Well, you're
for
headed
people
again.
who want to have us come there, they can buy stretches. We sell packages at a discount for any of our stretches. Good. And they can come and schedule, and we'll send someone out there. We'll bring a mat. We'll bring up one of our yoga balls because there's some stretches that our coaches use as a tool for stretching. Right. And we'll come out there. So we do have some people who want to be stretched at home. And by the way, if they want to stretch in our studio, we do it in a private setting. We do it on a big cushy mat on the floor. Right. The Kika Method is segmented into 4 sections of your body or of stretching. The client is standing for a series of stretches. They're sitting on the mat. They're on their back and they're on their stomach. And then we finish off with one of those awesome hypervolt percussions. Yes. That feels really, really good after your whole body's been stretched. Right. Yeah. And we take that mobile and we take that to the same method, right? It's the same method. So we do that in home as well. What do you recommend? At what age should individuals start stretching? I would say if you're a student athlete, you should be stretching, as part of your regimen for athletic conditioning.
Right.
I mean, that no medical person needs to tell you that. I think that's important for any kind of active lifestyle, even if it's a work lifestyle that's really active. We have bartenders. We get lots and lots of nurses, real estate agents, people with a lot of stress in their daily life and a lot of moving around. We get doctors as well. We get chiros. We get PTs. We get massage therapists. We get a lot of people who actually give care to others as well.
Right.
Come in for us to help relieve that stress and that tension from their entire body that's been built up over time. So our oldest client coming in on a weekly basis is 91. And we have, like I said, some student athletes and everyone in between. So we have the gamut. And then we also have some hyper ice products where we have the leg compressions, which is really great for people having leg tightness or for recovery if you're going to the gym. Stretching and some leg compressions are really good. We have some stuff for the lower back. We have some other tools that we incorporate because it's really important to not just stretch, but also maximize those other benefits using other tools that we have in-house.
Do you have any kind of vitamins, any kind of medication, not medication, but vitamins, any kind of ointments or anything that will help with your stretching?
So we don't have any kind of medicine or any kind of anything like that. The products that we do sell, because part of the way we stretch our clients is we infuse relaxation therapy. So it's a quiet ambiance, it's nice music, it's the lights lowered. It's we want our clients to relax because part of what our method does is we train those muscles to relax during the stretch. So not only are they feeling good during the session, but the results last for days, if not a whole week. And so the products that we sell are all geared toward relaxation therapy.
Right.
So for example, we have some essential oils that can use as some scents while you're getting your stretch. We have some stretching oil that also is sort of a spray that has some nice scents. We have the music, we have the lights lowered, and then we sell CBD products by a company called CBD Living, which are wonderful products, whether they're waters or sparkling waters or tinctures or topical products. They work so well. When you have that little pain coming out of bed, you just put a little bit of lotion or some freeze on it and that pain's gone. But those are the things that we sell, things that could add to extend that stretch away from the studio until the next visit.
Great. Clothing line was coming next, right?
Yes.
Clothing line with your Kika Stretch Studio.
Yeah.
Dress really relaxed, so when you can exercise, you're more able to be moving around with a nice jogging suit or whatever.
That's a great idea.
Kika Stretch Studio gear would be great.
Yes.
Anyway, but I think that what you have is really it's a great product. I mean, this is something that's needed for all ages as far as I'm concerned. I mean, stretching is so important. I think every day everybody should be doing some kind of exercise. What do you recommend for those that are just starting out or still at home, maybe thinking about it? What should they be doing? What's the first steps they should take before giving Kika a call?
That's a great question. So you should be, if you go to a doctor on a regular basis for some reasons, obviously there's some advice that they should follow and be careful in what to do, when not to do. But once that's out of the way and they book a session with us, one of the things that's really important for us to do is we ask a bunch of questions before they walk in the door. So they have to fill out a questionnaire before they walk in the door.
Right.
And then at the very beginning of the first visit, the stretch coach that they're assigned to have a series of questions to ask about what they've answered, as well as some additional questions. We want to make sure that not only the coach, but the stretch coach have a safe stretch session. So there's an intake process that they'll go through, and that's important. So the coach will pull out all the other things that they may have not put on that questionnaire.
So in other words, you have like a little history book on them, so you can have, when they get there, you already know what's coming, what you can give them, what you cannot give them.
Right.
So we're both on the same page.
Right, and we document after every session, we put in the notes of that client.
Right.
what that experience was. Maybe something was better, maybe something was worse. Sometimes they may see another stretch coach the following week, and so they have the notes in front of them. And on top of that, what's really helpful for some clients is that we have a chair modification of our Kika method. So let's say let's say they can stand and they can sit, but they're not really comfortable lying on their back or their stomach. We could sit them in a chair and we can still give them that same stretch.
Right.
The coach will give them the same
Right.
stretch on the chair. Some people can't get down to the mat, so that's also helpful as well. And we also have a prenatal. So if anyone's in any mother to be in their second or third trimester, we have a version of our method to stretch them, because as you know, they're carrying a pretty quickly a heavy load. Yeah. And as if if you've been with heard about how much stress and tension that could put on a woman's body very quickly, sure. These stretches help relieve that stress and tension.
Yeah, because one of the things I know that women have was a lot of pain in their back,
yes,
and their legs.
Yeah,
because they got that extra weight, and your back is always, so you need some stretching on the back, and you need some relief on the legs, and on your feet as well.
Right.
Right. I mean, your feet are the most important, because I think one of the most important, because you're on them all day long.
Yeah,
at least 80% of the time you're on your feet.
Yeah,
and you're going to make sure that you get them taken care of.
That's right.
Little pretty little toes, rub them down, make them feel good.
Well, we stretch, we don't rub.
Yeah.
But we stretch neck, shoulders, all the way down to legs and feet. Yeah. So that whole body just gets stretched in all different directions.
No, it sounds very interesting. It sounds like something that we should all look into, because it's something that I think that the healthcare, I'm trying to talk to individuals out there about healthcare, and that's why I brought on Chuck Gomez here today, because he has so much information and so much good for you guys out there to listen to and to get this project moving. I think it's something that should have been done many years ago.
Yeah.
And you finally came
up
with it.
We hear a lot of people tell us when they come in, where have you been?
Yeah, right.
Or they compare us to the medieval rack,
right,
where they, tortured people and they stretch their limbs.
Right.
I mean, obviously we don't do that, but it kind of feels that way in a lot of sense. But it's a feel good pain if they have pain stretching. If you ever stretch yourself. And people sometimes release emotions when they're getting stretched, which is really interesting. Because we hold all that tension and stress in us. And when you're stretching it for the first time in a long time, it just brings back a lot of emotions and maybe even some traumatic issues. So there's a lot of benefits from a mental health standpoint as well. And there's been research that's shown the endorphins that are created during stretching. And you kind of come out, people say, I feel taller, I feel like I'm walking on air. And boy, if you have never been stretched and someone stretches you for the first time, it's an amazing feeling.
How about somebody's not feeling too well? Let's say they have a sinus condition, or do you recommend them to get the stretching there, or also the sauna and steam rooms? I know individuals like to go to saunas, steam rooms. Would that interfere in any way with the stretching, or will it help?
So saunas and steam rooms, I don't really know how that could benefit somebody relative to stretching. But when we're stretching, it's possible, because when you're stretching the muscles, you're excreting, you're pulling those muscles, and your whole body is just in a different mode. You put yourself in a steam room or a sauna in those extreme conditions, I can imagine that can be benefit as well. But going back to the sinus issue, we've had customers come in and they're like, I wasn't going to come in today, but I thought I'm having sinus issues, but it's really the headaches. And people come out feeling much better without the headache.
Right.
And the other thing I just want to mention, if you don't mind, the thing about our coaches, these are some incredible people that we hire. They're one-on-one coaches, and when the client comes in, they're assigned a stretch coach. And that's their coach for the entire time they're there. It's a one-on-one focus. There's no other distractions. They're in a private setting. There's no straps. It's on a cushy mat, as I mentioned.
And these private rooms are what?
They're private rooms with like no ceiling and no doorway. So they're kind of open. And everything, even before COVID, everything's disinfected in terms of the mats and the balls and stuff like that.
Right.
And really the only major thing we had to do was wear masks after we were opened when we're closed with COVID. But the thing about our coaches is they can't even interview with us unless they have degrees, education, experience in body work and body movement. So we've had people with PhDs in PT come work for us. Right now we have got a coach getting a master's in exercise science. We have a lot of coaches with kinesiology degrees, maybe coaches certified in yoga instruction, which they go through a lot of intense hours of training. And so PT, a lot of people with PT experience. So these coaches are very skilled and knowledgeable about anatomy and the muscular structure and the whole body. And they know how to stretch safely. So we don't just hire anybody without that background. And dance is another. That's our founder was a dance person. And when you get a degree in dance, there's a lot of biology, a lot of anatomy, a lot of physiology classes I have to take. And there's probably no one better to know about how muscles move and don't move in your own body when you've been dancing your whole life, right? So we get those. Our coaches are certified, they're licensed, they're degreed, they're educated, and have tons of knowledge of the body.
Well, I think it's so important that these coaches are certified at one level or another to make sure that they're doing the right thing for the benefit of the clientele. I think that the clientels are definitely taking advantage of this because when I heard about it, I said to myself, wow, this is amazing. Why didn't they have this years before? Because it's needed so much, especially now with the pandemic, that so many people are locked in the house.
Yeah.
They're not walking around as freely as they used to. They're not exercising. They're not playing ball outdoors. They're afraid to go out. So your muscles your body got to be worked out.
That's
got to
right.
be worked out on a regular basis. I think that your studios is one place to definitely be a client of and making sure that everybody's taken care of. Now you talked about one of your oldest clients is 91 years of age.
Yeah.
Now is that individual, is that a male or female?
So that lady, she's a woman. We have a lot of clients in their 80s, a lot in their 70s and 60s and 50s. I mean, we probably skew toward, on average, toward like the 50s. But we have lots of people, under 50 and over 50.
Sure, you have athletes that come there to get stretching.
People come in they've got growth issues and they're 30 years old, so there's pain in their body, so they come with it. Or everyone has injuries and surgeries.
Exactly.
That's not age, every age has that.
Age.
So when they're ready to come in, they're getting that relief from what their surgery and injuries have created, all that stress and
Yes,
tension.
so I assume you have a good relationship going with the medical community in reference to getting referrals from doctors. When these individuals get surgeries or whatnot, they know where to send them so they can get themselves working to get back on their feet a little quicker, a little sooner. Let's put
That's
it that way.
right.
I think that what you have is really something good, something that's new to the community. You see, you've been here a couple of years, and I think you're definitely heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
I think that this is something that is going to go a long ways. I think that you say it's a franchise,
Yes, it's a franchise.
and if individuals want to get interested in being part of our franchise, how do they go about doing
Oh,
that?
well, they can reach out to Kika Wise themselves, but it might be faster if they just contacted me at our studio number, which is on the screen. They can go to kikastretchstudios.com, and there's information there on how to start up a franchise. And by the way, do you mind if I mention a Joe Cortez promotion?
Go ahead.
So anybody who wants to come out and try us, we'd be happy to give you a complimentary 30-minute stretch session for your very first visit if you are a resident of the Vegas metro area. And that's full body. You'll get a flexibility assessment and you'll get a consultation from your stretch coach. And just call us at the number 702-518-7180 and ask for the Joe Cortez promotion, free 30-minute. And Joe, we're going to see you there soon.
Absolutely, for sure. I think that you guys definitely watching this show here will see that this is one of my better shows for the reason that we all got to stretch. We got to make sure to get up in the morning, and when you go to bed at night, that you're feeling good. And the day that you're not feeling good, make sure you call up the Kika Stretch Studios. And don't forget Chuck Gomez, the owner, and the one of the most wonderful people I've met in a long time in the medical business. Take care, guys. We'll catch you next week. God bless. Thank you, Mr. Gomez.
Thank you.